We are delighted to welcome Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, who holds three big portfolios. These days, however, he is better known as India's semiconductor man. Joining me is my colleague Chandra Srikanth. Ashwini ji, we'll come to semiconductors and IT and other subjects one by one. But let me ask you on the big topic of the day, which are the big GST reforms which were announced a few days back. What are your first thoughts on this?
Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has always cared for the middle classes. You have seen how the income tax limit was changed and no income tax up to 12 lakh rupees income. That was a very big relief for the middle classes. Similar thing is now happening with the GST relief. It's a huge rate rationalization, process reform, structural reform, which will help, which will bring a major savings in the lives of our middle classes, in their budgets, in their family budgets, and simultaneously it will boost demand as well as consumption. If you look at this from the economic perspective, our economy today is about 330 lakh crore rupees. About 202 lakh crore is consumption and about 98 lakh crore is investment. So that is about 300 lakh crore total, which is consumption and investment combined. Another 30 lakh crore is all other items together. With this GST rationalization and the impact of income tax relief, which is now getting visible, we can clearly see that the consumption is likely to go up at least by 10% over next few months. And as you know, when consumption grows, the investment also simultaneously grows. And when investment grows, people get better income, better remuneration for their economic activities, and that feeds the consumption. So it becomes a virtuous cycle. So on the one hand, the middle class families, the common citizens, each and every one of us will get benefit of the reduction in tax rates. And on the other hand, this will have a significant economic positive impact on the economy.
Right. If I can just link the GST reforms to areas like semiconductors, smartphones, which has been, of course, a major success story of this government, how will it help these sectors in terms of the changes that have been brought about?
Practically every home today has many electronic appliances, whether it is smartphone, whether it is television, whether it is a fridge. There are so many electronics appliances which are used in our homes, in our day-to-day lives today. And many of the other things that we use, for example, a scooter or a car, that also has lots of electronics in it. So reduction of rate on electronics appliances and electronics items is going to give a significant boost to the demand for all electronics items, and it will also help our aspirational families. Every family wants to upgrade from a smaller TV to a bigger TV, from a smaller car to a bigger car. Those aspirations are always there, from a old phone to new phone. So those aspirations will also be fulfilled much easier when the prices are lower.
So, in fact, lots of big news in the last, good news in the last few days. I mean, the GDP growth rate, which came before GST, there's the upgrade by S&P. One of the perhaps gray areas is the Trump tariffs, and I can't, So, you just conducted this big event in Delhi, the Semicon 2. Do you see any impact on the Trump tariffs on the willingness of big companies in the semiconductor sector, many of which are from the US, to invest in India? And also, I'll add the Apple question. Apple is obviously a big investor in India. India is a huge success story of Apple. Have you seen any hesitation? Because President Trump has been talking about Apple also. He wants it to focus more on the US.
When we look at Apple investment, when we look at semiconductor investment, when we look at electronics manufacturing, let us try to deconstruct the entire thing into the basic reasons why people are investing here, right? First and fundamental thing is the design capabilities. India has a very strong design capability. Our GCCs are really performing very well. What used to be about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, used to be a back office work. Now that has changed. Today, our design teams are designing complete product from concept to product. It's a huge growth up the learning curve. So that design capability is what practically every global manufacturer is looking at when they decide whether they want to go to a country A or country B. That is point number one. Point number two is the policy stability. You look at the entire world today, there is huge turmoil, there is turbulence, policy decisions are changing overnight. And the process which used to be followed in a multilateral, in a discussion, those kind of processes are today not very visible. So, under such circumstances, the stability that India offers, that's huge. That's what is attracting a lot of investors to our shores. Second point. Third point, our talent pool. Our talent pool, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in rapidly upscaling any production, that talent pool is attracting people. And the fourth and foremost point is the trust which India has garnered over last 11 years due to our Prime Minister's foreign policies. Today, the world trusts us as a country which respects IPR, which is a vibrant democracy, as a country which believes in long-term growth. It doesn't take short-term measures. It's a country. It's a trust which is clearly visible in every sector, and that's why company after company would like to have their base here. Very high-tech manufacturing and design capabilities are today coming to our country, and we can see that the results of these efforts will be visible in the coming years, and they will continue to have a transformative impact over many decades.
I think you answered the question very cleverly, if I may say so. Chandra?
Just a follow up to that, sir. In the last few days, there has been a lot of speculation on whether IT exports will come under pressure, or whether outsourcing by American companies to India will come under pressure. And this is a big concern because it's a big source of a big engine of jobs, big engine of white collar jobs. How worried should we be?
See, we are continuously, we are engaged with the all the global players who have their GCCs in India, who have their many of the services in India. We are continuously engaged with them. We are also continuously engaged with the governments of the different geographies, whether it is US or Europe or Japan or the Southeast Asian countries. Everywhere we are continuously engaged, and our effort is that this vibrant industry, which is growing at a rapid pace, and as you very rightly said, which is providing good, high quality employment to our people, that continues to remain intact and grow. On the other hand, we are also building up our base in manufacturing. So today, I can say with the level of satisfaction that in last 11 years, our electronics manufacturing has grown 6 times. Our electronics exports have grown 8 times. Our mobile phone market share global, smartphone market share global has crossed 20%. And one by one, we are getting every component into our country, whether it's a camera module, whether it is a PCB assembly, whether it is the memory chip, the semiconductors in it, whether it is the mechanical components, whether it is the glass, whether it is the accessories like the glass cover, whether it is the battery. Recently, one battery plant was inaugurated, which is going to supply close to 40% of the demand for batteries in our semiconductors. So, on the one hand, to protect the employment which is existing, and on the other hand, increase the other employment opportunities.
Right. In fact, talking about semiconductor, Prime Minister Modi said that, while oil was black gold, chips are the new digital diamonds. And I was just going through some data that, India so far has 10 ongoing projects worth $18 billion in the semiconductor space. If you can tell us about where we are in the semiconductor journey, because you also announced ISM 2.0, India Semiconductor Mission 2.2. Can you give us a sense of what the corpus is likely to do? Because ISM 1, I think, was 76,000 crore, of which 66,000 crore has been deployed. If you can give us a sense of the ambition we have for ISM 2.2.
Our country wanted to have a semiconductor industry for almost last 6 decades. Fairchild wanted to come here, but because of the policies of 1960s, they could not come. Then Intel wanted to come here. Many other companies, Texas Instruments set up the first software development, but they also wanted to do manufacturing. All those things didn't happen, but finally under Prime Minister Modi ji's laser sharp focus on execution and the clear policy framework that he has given, today we have a vibrant semiconductor ecosystem developing in our country. Starting from January 2022, when the ISM policy was announced on 1st January 2022, we have come a significant distance by now. Today we have 10 units, as you said, which have been approved. Out of that, 5 units construction is going on. In 3 units, the unit of CG Semi, Keynes, and Micron. These 3, the pilot line is, in one case it is ready and started production, and 2 cases will be ready by October and December respectively. The fab design, the fab equipment, the equipment scaling, sizing, everything is going on very, very rapid pace. The plant in Assam also is progressing very well. Out of these 2, we have 2 fabs. One is a silicon fab, second is a silicon carbide fab. If you look at this entire thing, we have attempted to cover practically every sector: automobile sector, telecom sector, consumer appliances, your strategic and defense sectors, power electronics, which goes into electric vehicles, power electronics, which goes into trains and larger vehicles. Silicon carbide has a big play in that. Entire spectrum has been covered. Display module, which is HCL Foxconn joint venture. So practically we have attempted to cover the entire spectrum. The goal here is to make sure that we learn this industry in our country in a proper way. To do a 20-25 year sustained growth, the foundation should be very strong. That foundation has 3 elements. First is making sure that our talent pipeline, both in the design as well in the shop floor, which is clean room in this case, these 2 talent pipelines should be very strong. Second, the ecosystem should come here, which means the 500 odd chemicals which go into manufacturing, 50 odd gases which are used in semiconductor industry, the thousands of different types of equipments which go into this, the level of precision which is required for this. That is the second piece. The third piece is making sure that each of these units that we are approving, they have a clear market. They have a clear demand. Having demand, having that market linkage is very important. Otherwise, you create a fab and how do you fill it? That question should not be asked after constructing the fab. That should be answered right up front. So that is the way we are building up the foundation. The entire semiconductor mission is run by professionals. It's some of the best brains in semiconductor industry, people like Vinod Dham, people like Ajit Manocha, people like Professor Rao. All of them are contributing to our journey. They are the ones who evaluate every proposal which comes, and then we take every individual proposal to the cabinet so that each and every stakeholder is properly consulted. That's the journey so far. We have seen in the recent Semicon, ASML joining our.
That's right.
That's right.
It's a big vote of confidence.
Yeah.
When I asked CEO Mr. Christophe Fouquet, he said that last couple of years they were still skeptic about India's growth, but now they are very clear about India's growth. The world today looks at India as a major semiconductor destination taking shape because of the clear policies and because of the laser sharp execution. Where do we take this journey in our next round? We must continue to focus on all the 3 elements which are going to give us a long-term growth. The talent pipeline, getting the ecosystem, making sure that the market linkages are there. We, as you know, 278 universities we gave the EDA tools, which are the latest software systems and the accompanying hardware requirements which people use for developing and designing chips. I can say with a reasonable level of confidence that this is probably the largest semiconductor talent development program in the entire world. Which country would be able to say today that these university students are designing chips, and those designed chips, student designed chips, are taped out? We have 20 chips designed by students and taped out in our SCL Mohali lab, which were presented to Honorable Prime Minister on Semicon. So that's a phenomenal strength that our country is developing. Every chemical manufacturer was present. More than 500 industry leaders were present. They want to set up their bases here. They are looking at partners. They are looking at developing facilities. These are ultra pure materials. So when we look at normal materials, very pures are measured in parts per million impurities. Here it is parts per billion impurity levels. Very high, extreme level of purity is required in semiconductor industry because things are at atom level. So all that ecosystem is getting built up. In our ISM 2.0, we will be focusing significantly on developing the ecosystem further, which means the equipment manufacturers are very, very important for us. The equipment, all the machines which go into manufacturing semiconductors, that capital equipment should be manufactured in India and designed in India. The lithography, etching, the machines which develop plasma, the machines which deposit layer by layer, the machines which fabricate the chip, all those machines we must work and get them to our country to be manufactured here, designed here. And each of them will have thousands of supply chain partners behind that. Most of them will be MSME. They will all get demand because of this big machine makers coming to our country. Second, we must get the material manufacturing. In first experiment that we have done, where the silicon carbide material, the ingot will be manufactured in India. That same thing now we have to take to many other materials. So it's a long journey, but I think our efforts are giving good results. And I think the world's confidence is very clear on India.
Just a quick follow-up question. Can you share, to the extent that you can, some of the plans which ASML, which you said is a big, and other big corporations have for India?
So let me not take any names of individual companies, but practically every equipment manufacturer was present here, whether it is from Japan or US or Europe or Taiwan or South Korea. Practically every equipment manufacturer was present in the Semicon. We had lots of roundtables, we had lots of sessions. Each one of them was very clear that they must have a base here first. Second, many of them wanted to have partnerships. Third, few of them are already looking at setting up manufacturing bases here.
Right.
3 of them, without taking names, have started developing supply chain. One of them has already got about 700 supply chain partners approved and qualified. Another one has 37 or 38 supply chain partners qualified. And all these are very small units. Some of them employing 50 people, some of them employing 70 people, but they are doing extremely good high precision work. So it's a very satisfying that way, because the people see our country not just as a fab and ATMP country, but also as a equipment country, supply chain country, materials country.
So, given the recent signs of thawing relations, do you foresee any meaningful India-China collaborations in semiconductor manufacturing or electronic supply chain in the near future?
See, semiconductors is a global industry. In this global industry, we understand that, I'm sure you would have seen that Madison report on how the global value chains perform. It's a Harvard study where a component can go to multiple countries before it gets used in the final product. So that global value chain is a natural characteristic of the semiconductor industry, and of course of the electronics industry also. We do respect this reality of the global value chain, and we respect the way this industry works. So wherever the value is added, finally the benefits should come to our people, benefits should come to our industry.
So another China-related question because of the thaw. Is there India banned TikTok and a whole host of other apps 4 years ago after the Galwan episode? Is there any rethink on those bans?
I think I've just read it in the newspapers and some social media posts, but there is absolutely no proposal which has come from any quarters.
Okay.
Will we see Chinese investors coming back? So because they were big investors in the tech space, be it an Alibaba or a
We'll see
Tencent.
as it happens.
Okay. So coming
But there's
back,
no objection from the government side on that.
Policies will be
because
clearly
press note 3 is there still.
policies will be clearly shared with everybody as they come in. We are a very transparent government.
Of course.
in terms of indigenous GPU development, so the government, was talking to the likes of NVIDIA, AMD, Intel. Can you give us a sense of it? Because at Semicon, you announced a made in India chip, which you had also presented to the Prime Minister. But in terms of a made in India GPU, what can we expect in
See,
that?
to be a product nation, we have to look at the entire spectrum of products, and we must identify the items which are useful for our society and our economy and our long-term growth. So we have identified about 25 products. 25 products means 25 chipsets, which can really be useful for our economy in a very significant way. There are a large number of chipsets out of this which are large volume chipsets. For example, chipsets which go in the CCTV cameras,
Yeah.
chipsets which go in the lights, and many other items which are day-to-day use. Value is less, but the volume is large.
Right.
There are a few chipsets like microcontrollers, like IoT sensors. Those are the ones which have middle value and middle volume. These go into the industrial products. Microcontrollers, very important, one of the key things which go into drone manufacturing, which go into so many other things which are used in our day-to-day engineering works. Then we have selected a few which have high complexity, low value but low volume but high value. And there we have taken microprocessor as one of our key items that we need to develop, key chipset that we need to develop. We are working with 3 platforms, and one of the platforms which is being developed in IIT Madras, that has progressed very well. Another one which is being developed in CDAC, that also has progressed very well. And the results that we see today are significant. For example, the one which has been developed in IIT Madras, that is basically using the power architecture of IBM. Building upon that, we developed the microprocessor and GPU. So practically for your entire inference work, for your learning, training the model work, to some significant level, this will provide a big boost to our economy. Progress is very good. Based on that microprocessor, some applications and some other chipsets have also been developed, which are now going into mass production. The CDAC one has been used in multiple applications by now, and that is based on the RISC-V architecture. Again, that's an open source architecture. Using that as the base, we are building upon it. So the progress is good. The journey has started over a few years back, and so far the results have been good. In ISM 2.0, developing these chipsets and getting closer to our goal of becoming a product nation will be a major focus.
2 quick questions. Can you tell us anything about NVIDIA's plans for India? I mean, given that they're the crown jewel of the world's semiconductor industry in some sense.
NVIDIA has a large design capability centers here in India. A lot of design work is being done here, and they are a key partner of our AI mission.
Right.
AMD is also a key partner of our AI mission. So all these companies, chip manufacturers, chip designers, they are willing to work with us in a very collaborative manner, looking at our needs. We have connected them with the academia, we have connected them with researchers, Many of the startups are working with them, and all that is net giving us a totally new semiconductor ecosystem.
And just to go back a little bit to what you said earlier, when you approved the big semiconductor investments, you also talked about mapping out demand. Does that refer to? I mean, you're talking about domestic demands and exports. I mean, is exports also a part of this plan?
Yes, exports is also part of this plan, because as I said, semiconductor is a very, very global industry. Exports is an integral part of this demand. In some cases, out of these 10 units, some cases the demand is basically coming internally, where, for example, some company which had a plant and they wanted to increase capacity, they have selected India to increase the capacity. There are other cases where the demand is from existing market participants, their existing customers, and in only a few cases they will be looking at totally new demand. But in every case, at least 40 to 60% of the demand is already tied up.
Right.
Will this be the next engine of job creation for India?
It will be, because like steel industry, if you have a steel industry, you can have automobile, you can have truck making, you can have bridges constructed, you can have houses constructed. Steel is a foundational industry. Similarly, semiconductor is a foundational industry. You have semiconductors, you can expand your automobile manufacturing, you can expand your consumer electronics manufacturing, your TV manufacturing, your white appliances, your refrigerator. Practically every manufacturing sector today in modern world has an element of chips, semiconductors in their manufacturing and design processes. All that will get a major boost because of this. Other countries have seen this benefit. Once that foundational industry is there, many other sectors get the multiplier benefit out of it.
Sam Altman is coming to India, I think, later this month. Anything you can say about what his plans are? I mean, as the government, I'm sure the government is in touch with him.
I think he was here recently.
In terms of application layer, use case layer, we are seeing activity. But are you satisfied with the pace AI development is happening in India compared to, say, the US, where it's become a big source of investment?
So the AI mission, which we launched about 1.5 years or slightly more than that, has made rapid progress. One of the key elements of our AI mission was to get GPUs available, make GPUs available to a large section of the development community, of student community and startup community. And we had taken a target of providing 10,000 GPUs.
Yeah.
Happy to share with you that 34,000 GPUs are already empaneled, another 6,000 in process. So that means against 10,000 target, 40,000 GPUs we are able to provide to our development community. That's a big change. Second, major absorption, major absorption of technology and use of technology is what we are seeing in our country in a very big way. People are adopting AI. One of the largest adopters of AI globally is India. And that is reflecting in the application layer, as you said, layer by layer. If we see the providing the GPU access, the application layer. Third is the very fundamental layer of developing our own LLM. Good progress. 4 units, 4 startups or 4, let's say, firms are working on it. They have been supported by the AI mission. One of them, most probably Sarvam, will be the first one to come off the mark with a reasonably sized, well-trained, Indic language trained model, data which is not having the bias of many other models. That model will be ready by hopefully by the beginning of next year. The investments which are coming are also coming in safety related matters. And here, our approach has been very different from the approach that other parts of the world have adopted. Our approach is a techno-legal approach. We think that to make AI safer, we must have technological tools, we must have technology developed to counter the threats and the possible harms of AI. That's why our AI Safety Institute is basically a virtual institute which has many other institutions part of this entire network. It's like a network institute. So, for example, IIT Jodhpur is developing a technology for detecting deepfakes, and they have done it with a reasonable level of success. We have tested that in last few months in real examples, and they are doing it with a certainty of about 87%, sometimes more than 90% confidence level. The technology is able to say that this is a deepfake, this is a real thing. There are other institutes working on identifying biases, removing biases, and these are all technological tools which the world today is looking at with a very big hope. So recently, some time back, the entire European Union, many senior people had come here. We shared our AI missions work. They shared their thinking, and they were really, really happy with our approach where we have democratized technology. We are taking a very innovative way at AI safety. Rather than just putting a law, we are looking at creating technologies which will help us making AI technology safer. So all these things are good progress that we have made. We need to really, really keep the focus on execution. The investments which are coming in the private sector and in the industry, those are also significant. I wouldn't have full numbers on that, but the progress which we have made is significant, I would say.
Okay, I just want to ask you, just come back to a big picture question on economic reforms. There's obviously, are we likely to see more economic reforms in the new? I think there's a committee headed by the HM, which has been set up, of which you are the convener. What is the kind of remit of the committee? What can what can industry look forward to?
So our Prime Minister has consistently uh, pushed us into simplifying the lives of our common citizens, simplifying the lives of our MSMEs, making sure that the archaic laws which are not useful today are removed, making sure that the compliances which are not required are removed. For example, the simplification in income tax, the simplification in GST, the telecom law that you saw, replacing a law of 1885,
Yeah.
right? All these are steps which are basically very consistent over the last 11 years. And as our Prime Minister said from the Red Fort, we must now make a sustained effort at reforming each and every sector. And that would mean our manufacturing capabilities must be freed up from the cobweb of laws which the Congress regimes from 1950 all the way to 1990, they created all those cobwebs. Those must be removed. We must um, we must get our entrepreneurs use their energy in developing solutions for the country and for the world. We must make up for the huge opportunity which lies ahead of us. When the world looks at India as a trusted partner, time for us to focus on execution, and that's what our Prime Minister has given the mandate from the Red Fort. And this is building upon the reforms which have happened in the last 11 years. We must build upon that, build that momentum, continue to look at big picture reforms. I can give you some examples. Getting a railway terminal, a multimodal terminal connected to the railway network used to take 6 years on an average. Now that has come from date of application to date of commissioning. There are tens of examples within time frame of 24 months from date of application to completion. We already completed 115 such multimodal terminals, and 250 are in the offing. So that was possible because we simply cut away so much of the compliance burden which was there, approval burden which was there, the processes which were not required. Everything used to come to the minister earlier. We said, no, let's go down to the division level itself, not even to the general manager, but to the division level. Then we created multiple standard designs. If you have the standard design, then you simply go ahead with that. So same was the case of telecom tower, right? 272 days used to be the average time to get a telecom tower permit. Now that is reduced to 7 days. Every sector we are trying. Other day somebody came with a proposal for making the Type C charger as mandatory through regulation. Our question to that team was, why do you need to have a regulation when the industry is automatically moving towards Type C as a standard? And once you make a regulation, then the innovation becomes less, that gets stifled. So why stifle innovation? If somebody wants to have a much better Type P kind of something new of a charger, let people come with those innovations. That's the thought process. That thought process that our Prime Minister has very clearly demonstrated in the last 11 years is the mandate of every work that we are doing.
Right. I just have the last couple of questions from my end, and Bodhi can close. So, just wanted an update on the DPDP Act. It was passed 17 months ago, but in terms of when the final rules will be notified and enforced, because businesses are spending on compliance preparation already.
So we interacted very closely, had multiple consultations with practically every stakeholder. At one point of time, we were practically ready to publish the rules. That is the time when the press media persons came up with a point that, and it was more of a understanding thing, more of a communication thing, and they thought that they will also be punished with the if somebody comes out with a very interesting story. So we clarified that. We had almost 3 months consultation with them, and we clarified them, and now it's practically ready. They've given a set of questions which they would like some sort of FAQ to be published. We are working on that, and practically it's done. I must thank the industry. They came out with so much openness, so much positivity, so many constructive ideas they came up with, and that's practically done now. We should be able to publish it well before the next session of Parliament.
Right. Finally, from my end, sir, you also met significant stakeholders from the gaming industry a few days ago, days after the real money gaming ban in India. This week, I think the government has also moved Supreme Court. What can we expect, sir, there in terms of what will happen next?
So we have requested the gaming companies to make sure that the entire transition is very orderly, and that's why we had a very good open discussion with all the gaming companies. All the federations were present, many stakeholders were present, about 50 odd stakeholders were present in that meeting. And our point was that you tell us what your doubts are, you tell us what your thoughts are, because as you have seen, whether it is telecom law or DPDP Act or everything has been done in a very consultative, very collaborative manner. In this case, we had attempted we had actually made a lot of efforts to have some sort of self-regulatory body and make sure that the harms which are coming to the society and increasing at an exponential rate should be contained, and a number of suicides which were happening, the kind of people losing their entire life savings, very young children getting hooked onto this, and the algorithms designed to increase addiction. All those things were really, really causing a serious harm in the society. So we requested all the stakeholders to please look at the society from a long-term perspective. Yes, we need economic activity. It's very important that we must have that economic activity should be very much aligned to what our society needs. So that's the good open dialogue we had. It was held in a very proper way. We have requested the industry to give their doubts and help us frame, so that government is not against any industry. Government wants the gaming industry to develop esports, become a champion in esports, playing esports, developing esports. Both the things government should become. India should become a champion. Social games are integral part of our lives. So we want those to be developed, but we want the society to be protected from these harms, especially the middle classes to be protected from those harms. That was the theme in the meeting.
Right. I'll just close with one, actually, maybe two sort of linked questions. One is that the service, you've responded to the question on tariff on services. But there have also been, the services sector and I'm talking here about the IT services sector, does seem to be facing a certain amount of stress in terms of job losses and all that, which are job cuts. Any views that you have on that?
Definitely, we are very closely consulting the industry and talking to them and making sure that whatever skills upskilling and the change in skills which are required, adapting to the new world. Every year the technology is changing, the geotechnical and geopolitical and all those dynamic situations which are there. From our side, we have said that whatever support the industry needs, we are there to be with you. For example, NASCOM and us, we developed the Future Skills Program, which has helped more than 1 million people, or let me not put that number exact there, but a very large number of working professionals in the IT industry. They have been able to upskill, they are able to adapt to the changing technologies because of that Future Skills Program. In AI, we have taken a very large skilling program, just like the semiconductor, the large scale semiconductor skilling program we have taken up. Same level of AI skilling program we are taking up. And whenever times change, the government and the industry must work together to make sure that the transition is orderly. That's our objective at this point.
One last question: the share of, we've had big success in the PLI scheme, smartphones, semiconductors to some extent, perhaps pharmaceuticals, but manufacturing as a share of GDP has not really moved in the last, for a fairly long period. It's still around 15%. What can be done to raise this share?
So there are 3 layers. Manufacturing, the first and foremost is design, getting the product thought through, all those elements of engineering and product design. Second layer is manufacturing the finished products. Third layer is the layer where the capital equipment, materials, and all other things which go into manufacturing that come, which is the support part of it. We are definitely working in every sector. We are working on each of these 3 layers, and we have seen the successes which telecom, where we were never a manufacturer in the past. Today we are a manufacturer. Close to 50,000-60,000 crore rupees is the telecom production, telecom equipment production. Our products are now going to practically every part of the world. Electronics, we were never a electronics manufacturing country, but major electronics, 6 times growth, 8 times growth in exports. That kind of growth is there. Almost 11.5 lakh crore worth industries today, electronics manufacturing, growing at a double-digit rate. All those successes are there. Yes, our constant efforts are there to increase manufacturing. Whichever sector, every sector is working in making sure that manufacturing activity increases in our country.
Ashwini ji, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the interview. Thank you.